Hello everyone. Now you will hear a short retelling of the movie George from the Jungle. Enjoy watching. 25 years ago, a plane crashed in the African jungle. The baby named George could not be found. When George grew up, he became the king of the jungle. The American Ursula Stanhope is going to invade his kingdom. She was very surprised when she saw her fiancé Lyle and the two mercenaries who accompanied him. He wants to bring the rebellious bride back to San Francisco. But for now he will have to join Ursula, who wants to climb the mountain and see how the orangutans live. The guide Weem tells a local legend about a white orangutan. More than 2 meters tall, he goes out on a full moon and makes a wild roar. Either he wants blood, or he's looking for a female. In the morning, the gorillas warned the king about the invasion. Soon a group of tourists arrived at the foot of Monkey Mountain. Now they need to cross a flimsy suspension bridge over the abyss. Lyle decided to make a joke and started rocking him. Everyone was scared. The porter, who fell into the river from a great height, especially appreciated the joke.
You can't send inexperienced people on such expeditions.
Lyle guessed that the workers were now against him, so he decided to appease them by handing out cigars. However, he immediately scared them with a lighter pistol. He also gave them a Polaroid to surprise Africans with animated pictures, but they themselves can click it on their expensive camera. Lyle took offense at their taunts, grabbed the bride by the hand and led her into the thicket to find the orangutan. Suddenly, a lion's roar was heard. A moment later, the predator jumped out of the thicket and growled threateningly. Lyle immediately took to his heels, but stumbled, fell and lost consciousness. Ursula thought she was finished, but then a white orangutan appeared, although he flew past and crashed into a tree, and falling counted all the branches of the crotch. A desperate fight began. The lion attacked the guy and they exchanged a couple of blows. Pushing off from the tree, George struck a powerful blow that sent the lion into a knockdown, and then spun him like a basketball and finished him off hard in the fall. The lion was chased away, but he attacked again and then George saved the girl by picking her up on a vine. However, as always, I did not calculate and the girl passed out hitting a branch. A white orangutan dragged Ursula into the jungle and landed her in his technological house. Lyle smeared himself with red berries, as if he fought for his bride to the last and was wounded in battle. Ursula woke up in the bungalow and immediately screamed in fright when she saw a gorilla in glasses and underpants who brought her breakfast. Clumsy George also arrived with a bunch of bananas. Ursula still hopes that this is a dream, because only in a dream can you see a talking gorilla reading a medical handbook. The girl lost consciousness again from shock. George began to wipe Ursula with a rag and found something strange in his chest area. Abe explains to his brother that it's not him, but she, a woman, a female human. And it's also better for them not to talk in front of her, it makes the girl nervous. George tasted the female. When Ursula woke up, she took the elevator down from the tree, and now Ape constantly has to beat his chest in front of her and make monkey sounds. Cheerful Tarzan received a flower as a gift, and Ursula asks to take her to her own. Well, his dog Shep will help George with this. The guy called Shep and the ground shook. An elephant jumped out to them, which, however, behaves like a dog. Is that your dog? It's Shep, George's big gray dog. Shep gave Ursula a little ride on his trunk, and then she offered to throw him a stick. But what is an elephant wand? George threw a whole log into the bushes. Shep returned with an even bigger log and threw it on the roses that Libe was growing. Riding an elephant, the couple went in search of the groom. But by evening Ursula's impulse had dried up. She forgot almost everything in the company of the cute and pumped-up king of the jungle. At a rest stop, a toucan flew to George and informed him that one monkey needed help. A little Capuchin was offended by a flock of monkeys. They call her a coward and don't want to play. Ursula held out a handkerchief for her to wipe her tears, but the monkey gave them her ass. The other Capuchins really ignore her. Then a lion came out of the thicket. All the monkeys fled, except one, who bravely beat her chest and drove the predator away. The plan worked, now everyone wants to be friends with her. The squad found the trail of the white orangutan. The mercenaries decided to catch him and earn money. Meanwhile, George is teaching Ursula to ride a vine. It turns out she is SOSO, so the savage shows a master class. Only with breaking he constantly has problems. George is more dressed up than ever today. He wants to be beautiful and feels something unusual inside. Abe teaches his brother how to attract the attention of a female. You need to constantly inflate your cheeks, then show your teeth, toss leaves, and hoot loudly. This will not leave her indifferent. The porters are tired of wandering around the jungle. Lyle tried to negotiate with them using a dictionary, because they only speak Swahili. But when Max offered $50 each for help in catching a white orangutan, they immediately asked for 100 in good English. Ursula is quite happy that she got lost in the jungle and met the king. She's not scared at all. The guy realized that it was time to start seducing the female. That's just the antics and strange sounds confused her, and Ursula walked away. This plan didn't work. It's a good thing Abe found a book about human dating in his library. Attempt number 2. Ursula saw a crocodile tooth on George's chest, but he did not kill him, but simply helped to pull out a sick tooth. The girl also has a talisman, a cheap ring that she found as a child. Ursula decided to give it to the king of the jungle. The gorillas staged a concert and George invited the lady to dance. And there is nothing to be ashamed of. There are no people here who would condemn her or laugh at her, only George. And Ursula had a lot of fun around the campfire. Lyle was tired of trailing behind and catching all the branches with his face. He wanted to go ahead, but immediately stumbled and fell into an elephant pile. Lyle demanded to give him a lighter. The porter found 2 almost identical pistols and threw one of them to the American. The detachment found a white orangutan, who turned out to be an ordinary person and did not look at all dangerous. Lyle dared to go first. If necessary, he will scare the savage with a lighter. Ursula came out of the bungalow and she is absolutely not happy to meet the groom, because she remembers perfectly well how he left her to be torn to pieces by a lion. Poachers saw an elephant.
There's an elephant. And what does an elephant have? Fleas, tusks.
They were about to shoot, but Abe jumped out in front of them and shouted for the chief to run away. A talking gorilla is even better. Thor took aim at her, George ran to protect the animal, and then Lyle shot him. But George didn't die, because he's the main character, and Ursula is a very rich girl. Therefore, she will take the guy to her homeland on a private plane, where he will receive qualified assistance. Poachers are deported from the country, and Quima porters participate in the identification of the shooter. Now Lyle will be thrown behind bars. However, Max still plans to grab the monkey and bring it to Las Vegas. George is driving around San Francisco, and Ursula's mom is expecting to see her daughter with her fiancé and does not yet know that he is stuck in an African prison. The savage does not sit still and he has injured himself out of habit. A friend of Betsy's came to Ursula, who was amazed to see a naked savage who had just come out of the bathroom.
It's clear why he's the king of the jungle.
George put on the first thing he found in Ursula's closet. The girl brought a friend to a big shiny cave where they would buy George clothes. He soon discovered that he looked quite good in Armand. Mom spotted the couple on the street and immediately found out that Lyle had not returned from Africa. Without the king of the jungle, Shep has become uncontrollable and does not give the gorillas peace. Ursula got a call from her mother. Pick up the phone. Leaving for work, Ursula asked George not to go out. The staff and her father gave her a surprise in connection with the engagement. The savage saw an advertisement in which coffee united lovers. So he needs to eat as much of this coffee as possible. The weather forecaster advised the emboldened George to go outside and he did not resist. Caffeine took George to the biggest bridge he had ever seen in his life. He was here just in time, because a parachutist was hanging on the ties of the bridge. George flew up to the poor guy in his usual way and unhooked him. The report about the emergency is shown on TV. Ursula saw a friend, came to the bridge and boarded a rescue ship. George caught on the parachute and was carried over the water. The guy flew right up to the ship and crashed into the wheelhouse out of habit. Ursula hugged the hero. Coffee really helps, George concluded. Among all the gorillas, the poachers spotted the one playing chess and shot her with a tranquilizer dart. Ape, before passing out, managed to ask Toucan to find George. Ursula is nervous before meeting her parents, so George decided to teach her the call of the jungle, which will add to her confidence. Ursula had to work really hard to explain to Mom and Dad why she wouldn't marry Lyle. Mom was especially upset when she learned that she risked becoming the mother-in-law of a savage from the jungle. Moreover, the cake is already ready for the reception with the Lyle figurine, but it was still immediately destroyed by George. All the cream of society gathered at the reception, including the mayor of San Francisco. He also wonders where Lyle has disappeared. Meanwhile, all the girls stood in a row from the paddock to watch George run with the other stallions. It was at this moment that Ursula realized that this was her man. At the reception, jealous men also came up to meet him. Mom took George out on the terrace and said that she and Ursula could not be a couple, the guy did not meet her level, and then moved on to direct death threats. If George interferes with his daughter's wedding, then he will no longer have anything to cover with a loincloth. At night, a toucan found him and reported the abduction of Ape. Ursula was already asleep. George did not wake her up, but only left his mascot, a crocodile tooth. The mother was glad that the savage had returned to his jungle, and Ursula guessed that she had spoken to him yesterday. But the girl will not give up so easily and will follow George to Africa. Unexpectedly, the father supported her, not his wife, and wished his daughter good luck. George was delivered by parcel to Africa. It was too cramped for him. The king of the jungle put on sneakers to get to his brother as quickly as possible. George crosses a huge distance without stopping, but the poachers are tired and barely move with a heavy cage through the jungle. They were guided by a sign that said a short way to the river. And so Tap tells them that this is a false sign, the path will lead them back to his house, but the criminals did not believe him. Finally George got to his bungalow and found Ape's broken glasses. Poachers also came here. It turned out that Ape hadn't lied to them after all. George pounced on them, but missed. The scoundrel heaps the local Tarzan so that R1 flies out of his sneakers, but his animal agility, his strength not from under his armpits allows him to fight criminals on equal terms. Then Shep came to the rescue and blew his nose with a toucan that flew into Thor's ass. After the shells were coconuts, but flew to absolutely everyone, and George and Ape. Max grabbed for his gun, but Ursula, who had arrived on the vine, stopped him. She fell into George's arms, but the savage is not up to her yet. He wholeheartedly punched Thor and knocked him out. Ursula was about to confess her love to the savage, but then Lyle appeared, who escaped from prison and joined a closed sect. Other pumped-up sectarians grabbed George, and Lyle dragged Ursula to the river to marry against her will. The Capuchin sounded the alarm. A gang of karate gorillas piled on the glasses and threw them into a cage. Lyle dragged Ursula to some cave. Then they fell down and fell into the river. The flow of water, as if on a water slide, carried them forward until they fell from the waterfall. Apparently, that was the plan, because a boat was waiting for them. George, meanwhile, rushes forward, sometimes confusing vines with snakes. Reverend Lyle began the wedding ceremony without noticing the dangerous rapids ahead. To save his beloved, George had to make the biggest jump in the history of the jungle. Developing cosmic speed with the sound of a fighter jet, George flew into a tree with such force that he broke it and the tree fell right in front of the boat. The savage saved the girl, which Lyle did not notice. In a cave in the dark, he married a gorilla who jumped into his boat. And the heiress from San Francisco and the king of the jungle have joined their hearts forever. The ceremony was attended by people from the bride's side, and animals from the groom's side, but both got drunk. Soon the couple had an heir.